All right, guys, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Okay, so early birds again. Really appreciate you guys on time. It's really good. I think I was like a minute late, just 1 minute late, 1 minute late. But I'm here now. I'm here now and ready to rock and roll. Very excited. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's session. I enjoyed it. I was up in spirit. I was lifted when I finished the show. I got so many people sending me some lovely messages of appreciation. So thank you very much. And all of you were fantastic. All of you are really, really good. So today I want to again introduce myself. There may be somebody that's never really been here before. We're Lose Your Mind, the Tribe. My name is Danny. I'm the founder of the Tribe. And really the intention was to work as a collective and help a bunch of up and coming business people, young in business. When I say young in business, it's independent of whether you're, an elderly person or a very young person. It doesn't really matter the demographics. So the intention was really to put together a group of people that were like-minded, hungry, driven for success, but also wanting to actually win, not just to sort of gather information, because there's lots of people out there that are, information junkies. They absolutely love, hey Jenny, they love collecting information. But today really is very important. Today is about finishing where we started yesterday. We were talking about spirituality and success. What does it take for you to be successful? Is your spiritual path or your spiritual walk really part of that process? And then we identify some things. It's really, really powerful. When I say powerful, I usually measure how impactful something is based on the response I get from people who actually mention, look, this happened to me before, this was going on in my life, and I didn't know how to handle this. Hey Doris, and now I know how to handle this. Bernard, yeah. So really what I want to do today is drive it home. We talked about the gap. The gap between your thoughts is the connection that makes your creative genius alive or dead. The gap between your thoughts. We talked about meditation yesterday. Some of the things we touched on, and I want to just recap very quickly. What we mentioned yesterday, sometimes the body needs a cleanse. Sometimes when you really, when you overeat, for instance, during Christmas or even now, lots of people at home. So what's going to happen is after they lift the lockdown in many countries, you'll find that, lots and lots of people are going to be saying, oh, I overate, and, people are piling on weight. It's incredible. So when you go to a doctor or a nutritionist or somebody who's a health worker, or perhaps somebody into the wellness industry, or perhaps if you come to me, I'm going to tell you, listen, you need to cleanse your system. You need to flush your system. If you go to somebody and you have a skin problem, acne or something like that, the first thing they say to you is, okay, you're going to have to cleanse your skin and open your pores. And then, once it starts breathing, and then you're going to apply, whatever you have to put on after that. Okay? Thoughts are the same. You need to have thoughts that breathe, that actually have the potential to, create something really magnificent. If you have a cluster of thoughts that are suffocated because they're too many or they're so low quality, what happens is, unfortunately, you don't create the life that you desire. So today I want to talk about your mind on the gap. So mind the gap, your brain. We talked about the genesis of our lives is really, it is derived from our quality of our thoughts. What you think on a constant basis, on a daily basis, eventually what happens is the summation of that will, become what we actually see as a manifestation. So we start saying this person is this person is successful, this person is angry, this person is a happy person. All of those things start in the mind, and then they translate to different parts of who we are. And then, of course, we're able to show what the world sees as your actual, self. Right. So today I want to talk about that. So the gap is a connection to the field of what we call all possibilities. Is the space between your thoughts. It's the space between your thoughts. I liken this to speech. I don't know if you've ever recorded something and you actually increase the speed when you're recording. It sounds a bit like, you hear that and then you go, was that me? So because there's hardly any space between the words, it doesn't actually make any sense. So you can't really interpret what the message was about because it's too fast. Now I want you to imagine those being your thoughts. Those being your thoughts. By the way, if you enjoyed yesterday, I want you to put a 10 in the box. In the comment box, just drop a 10 and say, I loved it yesterday. Because if you missed yesterday, were you here yesterday? Put a yes. If you're here yesterday, put a yes. And then I'm going to ask you to do something else after the show. Really important. So I want to talk about how your spiritual life impacts your physical life. How your spiritual life enriches your emotional life, your social life. All of those things are interlinked. They're interlinked. But watch this, right? So one of the things that we talked about is what is it that could happen to you that could clog your thoughts? What kind of things do you think would happen to a person in order for them to have their thoughts, sort of banded up in a cluster? One of the businesses I do is Salad Master. We talk about health and nutrition, and I want to just drop something in there. One of the things I learned was that when you actually eat so many different things, especially junk food, food that's loaded with oily stuff and all of that kind of stuff, what happens is, and as you load up on toxins in your body, your cells start to suffer, your body cells, they start to suffer, and then they mutate. When we talk about mutation, they start to basically die. Slowly they're decaying, and then they start to cluster together. So instead of having cells that are vibrant and they're moving on their own, they're actually glued together. And sometimes, it causes, lots of different complications in the body to sometimes what could be really big, costly diseases, that would actually, end up, they could end up being fatal in some cases. It all starts with, what you eat. So I like it. What you think has the potential to completely suffocate your cells, your brain cells, your thought process. So you now have thoughts that are just so close together. They're clustered all the time. They're clustered together. Aqua, you're here to disturb me, right? Aqua is here. Okay, so they're clustered together all the time. So now I want to bring this home. So what is it that clogs out the gap between the thoughts? And it actually allows us to have this confusion in our brain. And I want to bring this, to 5 things. I want to give you these 5 things. If you want to jot them down, that's fine. I want to ask everybody to humor me. Do this exercise with me, and then you'll understand what I'm talking about. I want you to do this exercise with me. If you go in the comments box and you write, I am, and then you put 3 dots after that. I am, and then you put 3 dots after that. I'm gonna tell you what to do after that, okay? I want you to write it and carefully write the word I am and then put 3 dots after that. I'm gonna give you an exercise in the meantime. So just hold that thought and we carry on with the conversation, but I'll come back to that. There's a reason why I wanted you to write that I am. All right, watch this, yeah? So I'm talking about what things could clog your mind that would actually allow you to create a poor life, if you like, or a life that's filled with lack, or a life that's filled with, if you like, impoverished life, if you like, if I can use that for maybe lack of a better expression. The first thing is if you have what we call low quality thoughts. Low quality thoughts create confusion in your brain. Low quality thoughts create confusion in your brain. If you're thinking of things that are of low quality, because the mind naturally gravitates towards your essence of who you are. The essence of who you are is that of abundance, is that of happiness, that of joy, is that of so many great things. We're actually not designed to be miserable or negative. So when you put the mind in a state of negativity and you have what we call low thoughts, low quality thoughts, what happens is you create what we call an overwhelmment. So you start to get overwhelmed. When you're thinking of things that are, toxic, negative thoughts, you start to get overwhelmed. You go, so I'll give you an example. So you look at somebody, you say, I know James doesn't like me. And it's like, yeah, I know James doesn't like me. And then you start creating all kinds of imagination in your head as to why James doesn't like you and why he would never like you and why he thinks you're such a terrible person. So here's what happens. Your mind goes into a frenzy. It goes into overdrive, creates these feelings, these emotions of he really doesn't like me. Because you're in a state of low quality thoughts, poor quality thoughts, right? So here's what happens. Whenever you're thinking of negativity, negativity creates a lot of fear. It creates panic. When you're thinking of things that are negative, you start saying, I hope they buy something today, or I hope they, oh my God, I hope they accept my proposal today. I hope she likes me. I hope he likes me. So when you have this negative perception and you have these feelings of negativity, you start to encourage or you start to invite into your life elements that will create panic. So you're now overwhelmed. You're panicking. These are low quality thoughts, right? And also you're confused. I give you an example. If you're ever looking for directions and you're lost and you're in the car and the person says, I think we should go left. And you go, no, go right. And then they go, no, let's go straight. And then actually, I think we just missed it at the back over there. Now, everybody's trying to give directions. You have no idea where you're going because you actually don't have an idea which direction you should be headed. So what happens is in that process, your brain goes into overdrive. You're thinking multitude things. What if we get lost? What if we're late? What if we don't find them there? What if we miss an appointment? What if they're angry when we get there? So you have so many different things. So now you have thoughts that are suffocated. They're coming at you like a flood. So you don't know how to control it. It's like, if you ever have a bus pipe in your kitchen and the water is gushing out, and you don't know how to stop it. It's like, oh my God, what do I do? You're trying to do that. Now imagine the brain is pushing out that amount of thoughts and they're all low quality thoughts. So that's the first thing that clogs your gap between your creative genius. Your thoughts are potent when they're allowed space to breathe. When they have a healthy gap between one thought and another. It's called focus. What happens is you start to think with clarity. You start to think with clarity. It's amazing how most people that are geniuses, from the great Moses, who led the children of Israel from Egypt, from captivity, to a guy like Ed Sheeran. I can give you some more. There's a lot of people. Most of these people had complications like stutter. They were stutters. They couldn't really express themselves. They were trying to slow their brain down from speaking too fast. So they get anxious, they get overwhelmed, they panic, and they're trying to say too many things too quickly. These people are geniuses. But when you learn, when you find that sweet spot, when you listen to Ed Sheeran talk about how he used to stutter and how he lacked confidence because of that, he said, and every time I started singing, I was free. I just couldn't stutter anymore. I would just sing and the voice comes out and it's beautiful and it's eloquent. It's because he allowed the space between the thoughts. And now he has fluidity in his thinking. Therefore, his speech has to be in concert with his thinking. Please get this. This is really important. The things that clog your minds are low quality thoughts. That's the first thing you have to do. Now, low quality thoughts come from this. Toxic thoughts. Too many thoughts at one time. You're thinking of a lot of things. Have you ever seen people who are like, I don't know, what do we do? Especially if there's an emergency or something happens, you hear a gunshot or something, you go, oh my God, what do we do? And you're panicking, there's like a million thoughts. And then people will say, hold on, stop, just calm down, and let's think this through. Just slow down. You're thinking too fast. When you think too fast, you suffocate your thinking genius or your creative genius. Therefore, there's no space between one thought to another. So therefore, you're bombarding your brain and you're in a state of disarray. You're confused. Catch this. The other thing that clogs your mind in terms of your low quality thoughts is the inability to listen. Most people are poor listeners. God knows I've been working at this for many years. Almost all my life, I've been working on how do I become a master at listening? How do I master listening? You see, listening has the potential to address all your concerns before you ask the questions because you listened. But in the absence of listening, what you're doing is you're not thinking about or you're not listening to what the person is saying to you. You are thinking about how to respond to the person. You're also thinking about what they're saying. You're thinking about whether it makes sense. You're thinking about whether what you're going to say is going to make sense. You're thinking about whether you're going to understand each other, get to a conclusion. So what you're doing is there's so many things going on in your brain. It's turbulent. It's like, a dam. A waterfall, it's gushing down. We need to go back to what I mentioned yesterday, which is there's a difference between a waterfall and a still pond. Some people have a brain like a waterfall. If you drop a truck, a big massive truck in there, nobody notices. It just goes and disappears. If you drop a little stone in a still pond, it just ripples. Now, why it ripples, and when you see each ripple, in between the ripple there's a space, right? So now, if you imagine that being your brain, that's your creative genius. In those pockets, that's where you start to create an amazing life. So low quality thoughts. Number two, holding back feelings. Feelings will get you in trouble. Feelings will get you in trouble. Let me give you a scenario. Okay? So feelings can be, you have two types of feelings. And feelings are your GPS. We talked about this last time in the communication conversation. In this series, we talked about feelings being very important, yeah? So feelings is your GPS. Now feelings is also, Emily wrote again, I am. Okay, so now, I want you to finish the I am with what you're feeling right now. I am happy. I am confused. I am excited. You've been thinking about it. A lot of you have been thinking, why did he ask us to write I am? And some of you, or one of you, didn't even move from that. You go, but Danny, just before I can listen to what you're saying, I want to know what you want me to write. So you're waiting. You're not paying attention because you're actually worried about, why did he ask me to write the word I am? And really all I wanted to do is find out how you're feeling. I am all right. I am feeling great. I am overwhelmed. I'm panicking. I'm a queen. I'm a king. Whatever you're feeling right now is what you need to, put down on that comment. I am. So listen to this, right? Oh, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. Another blessed one. That's good. Okay. So watch this, right? Watch this. So feelings are either good or bad. Feelings are your GPS. The feelings will direct you as to where you're going. So when you open your GPS and you switch it on, what happens is that it will ask you, where do you want to go? What's the destination? So you enter the postcode or the address where you're going, the coordinates where you're going. And then it will say, no problem. And it will start to give you instructions. This is where we're heading. Take a left, take a right, do this, do that, do this, do that. Sometimes, and it's happened to you before, I've had an argument with my GPS. I'm saying, no, that's too long. And the GPS says, please take, next exit. And I go, I'm not doing that. I've had an argument with my GPS. But I know my GPS, and then I get in front, I get ahead, I drive, and then I find a cluster of cars. I go, why did I come this way? I'm sure the GPS, if it could laugh, it was just looking at me saying, look at this idiot. I told you to take a left, you didn't take a left. So what I'm saying to you here is this. Feelings are your GPS. You just have to listen to them. When you have a bad feeling about something, you know, some people say to you, listen to your gut feeling. You know, what's your gut telling you? What are you feeling about this? How you feel about this? You go, I don't feel good. They go, don't do it. And if you speak to an elderly person, they'll say to you, if it doesn't feel right, then don't do it. And we go, yeah, I'll just do it. And then you do it, and then you end up in a really messy situation, and you say, I wish I'd listened. So you need to listen to your feelings. Now, bad feelings will clog the gap. Bad feelings will clog the gap. Because when you have bad feelings, they create another state of overwhelmment in your brain. Bad feelings cause a feeling of toxicity in your body. You becomes toxic. It becomes toxic. You start going, you know, I don't feel good. So let me give you some examples of bad feeling. Bad feelings are things like hatred. When you hate somebody, your brain is loaded. When you see them, your pulse increases, your heart starts thumping, and you go, I can't stand her. You know, every time I see her, I just get really angry. Oh man, she really, really frustrates me. Oh my God, I can't stand this guy. You know, every time you hate somebody, you start having a clogged gap. Your creative genius decides at that particular moment, I'm in a state of hatred, so I can't function. It's blocked. You're overwhelmed with the feeling of hatred. Guilt is another one. Anxiety is another one. Hopelessness is another one. Right? I had another one written down here. Feeling defeated is another one. You've seen people, they're like, I don't know, I don't know what's wrong with my life. So bad feelings will clog your creative genius. Your creative genius is the gap between your thoughts. The gap between your thoughts is the connection to the field of all possibilities in your brain. It's where you're allowed to think freely. That's where we teach you how to meditate. That's why we teach you to be silent. That's why we teach you not to judge. The energy you expend judging people, therefore hating people. The energy you expend criticizing people. The energy you expend getting confused, having arguments with people. It does not allow you space to be creative. It's impossible to be creative when you're angry. It's impossible to be creative when you're guilty. It's impossible to be creative when you're hopeless. It's impossible when you're frustrated, when you're anxious, when you're feeling lost and confused. Those are signs that the GPS said left, you took a right. You're headed in the wrong direction. It says wrong destination, wrong destination. Change direction, change state, change state. And you're kind of going, And some people, because we're so trained in the art of negativity, you spend so much time being in that state, those feelings, you start to normalize that. You start saying, but that's normal for me. That's normal. I'm just a miserable guy. Like, everybody knows that. You don't know? I'm a miserable guy. So guess what happens? Guess what happens? Misery follows you. And it's impossible to be creative or to connect to that creative genius unless you relinquish the feeling of frustration and guilt and hatred and anxiety and anger. Are you following it? Are you enjoying this? If you're learning something, put a 10. If you're not learning anything, put a 1. And if you put a 1, I'm going to insult you, yeah? Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3, what else can get your creative genius clogged up and therefore blocked, therefore you can't create? Because remember, we talked about human beings, we're the only creatures that have the ability to connect our spirit to God's spirit. You see, the creative genius, that connection I'm talking, the gap between your thought to the other thought is actually the link between you and God. Because God gives you everything. If you believe, the reason we're spiritual is not because we're looking to see things in the dark. The reason we're spiritual is because there is a return on investment. We don't just get spiritual because we just think we should be spiritual. There is a benefit to living a spiritual life. And that benefit sometimes is lost on people because they think they're religious. They go, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. So they get so angry when somebody challenges their faith. But what they don't understand is you're confusing religious beliefs or things you do, rituals that you do in your religion, you're confusing them to be faith. So the power is not really in religion. The power is in the access to the Spirit, therefore access to God. Man, and I said it yesterday, whatever you worship, worship it with devotion. Okay, we're moving on. Okay, so the third one is, and I mentioned feelings of hatred, and we talked about thoughts, low quality thoughts, low quality feelings. Now watch this. Low quality beliefs, your belief system. Your belief system will suffocate that creative genius in you. Your belief system. So what happens is we all have a perception, what we call self-perception. There's things I say about myself that are only true because I say them about myself. Because the externals don't care. The person looking at me, the observer, the recipient of my movie, therefore my life, the person who's observing me, they don't care. They will interpret what I actually dish out. So if I'm projecting, I'm shy. For instance, people say, Danny, I'm just a shy guy. And I go, okay. I've seen people come for interviews. Somebody comes into my office and go, hi, how you doing? Great to see you. And I'm so excited. And they're looking at me and they're shaking. And their hands are dripping with sweat. And I'm going, are you okay? They go, yes. Do you want a glass of water? No. I'm fine. And I'm going, oh, they think you're going to charge them for water. They're so nervous. So I go, what's the problem? They go, well, I'm always like this. You see, I'm a shy person. And I'm going, wow. So you've really sold yourself. If you believe you're shy, watch this. Because you think you're shy, and shyness is not actually a character trait that we actually think is a character of a winner, or of a person who's driven, or of a person who is going to live a successful life. Shyness is it's a disease, man. It's like it's like a mental disability. And people teach their children this stuff. They go, that's Maureen, she's shy. That's Josh, he's a shy kid. And you brand them like that. And because you're really powerful and you're the very strong Bishop uncle, you're very strong Auntie Mary who's a surgeon, and you say, that's, my little boy Josh, and he's shy. He's shy. He doesn't like people. Listen to that. So we carry that. So little Josh, I'm shy because my mama was a doctor and she told me I was shy. And then, she also said I don't like people. So therefore, I don't like people. So there are things that you develop, there are beliefs you develop because of what people put on you. And there are things you start to tell yourself. But let's go. So we talked about clogging your space. We talked about that. Some of you were here. Some of you were not here. You missed it a little bit. We talked about your thoughts. Low quality thoughts are very dangerous for your creative genius, for your ability to create fantastic results. We talked about low quality feelings of depression, defeatist. Those things create low results or no results at all. You're unable to create the life that you want to create. And then we talked about low quality beliefs, where either people have, convinced you that you're not good enough, or you found a way to sort of, brand yourself or label yourself as that person that, people would automatically say, yeah, you're a loser because you say you're a loser. You walk like a loser, you talk like a loser, you act defeated all the time. So therefore you start to develop habits, and those habits over time, as they compound, they become who you are. And of course, in that process, because it's really toxic, what happens is your creative genius, the gap between your thoughts starts to get clogged up, and you're squeezing it all the time. And that's really what we talked about yesterday, that when we have so many thoughts, so many bad thoughts, so much bad energy from bad feelings, so many belief systems that we've actually over time convinced ourselves that that's who we are, what happens is it starts to really stifle our creative genius. Therefore, your connection between the true self, who you are, which is what we called self-referral yesterday, diminishes. It starts to dwindle. It starts to become smaller and smaller and smaller. And eventually, you no longer are able to do that. Because what happens is there's negative ego as well. You know, ego is self-image, isn't it? So if ego is self-image, some people have a really poor self-image. And other people have an exaggerated or they have excessive self-belief. And it kind of borders on being, you know, cockiness rather than confidence. Yeah. So you need a balance. You need a balance. You don't want to say I'm better than everybody, but you never want to say I'm less than everybody as well. You want to know that, you know, we all inhabit the same spirit. We all have access to it. The difference between one and the other is how or how much we actually choose to draw from that. That's really important. It's how much we choose to draw from that. So I want to go there. And then we want to talk about the fourth aspect of this. And this is very important. So the first thing is low quality thoughts. The second thing is low quality feelings. The third thing is low quality beliefs. People start saying, I can't do that. I'm not cut out for that. That's not my sort of thing, you know. I don't think I'm that good at that. So as you start to develop those beliefs, you have, if you like, an intrinsic way of conditioning or telling your brain to continue to operate in a very average, very mediocre way. And let me tell you, low quality thoughts are harder to maintain. They're more difficult, they're more draining to maintain than high quality positive thoughts. Because that's your natural flow. You know, if you imagine this, yeah, low quality thoughts is like swimming upstream. High quality positive thoughts is like swimming with the tides. You're just going with the river. You're flowing with the way the river, you know, the direction of the river, right? So you need to be very careful not to allow yourself to catch yourself always telling people, I'm a shy person. I believe I'm shy. I believe, you know, some people say to me, Danny, listen, I would never do sales. I wasn't born for sales. And I go, what does that mean? I'm a poor communicator, you know. And I go, why? They go, because that's how I've always been. And I go, so can you learn to change that? No, I don't think so. I just think this is who I am. I'm just not really good at that stuff. That stuff is for you guys. You know, you're really confident. I'm not confident. When you start to develop those beliefs, your mind starts to go, what are you doing to me? It's suffering. So you start creating, you're always in creation of things that should stop you from achieving greatness, which was what you were intended to do. We were created in an abundant spirit. So because we train ourselves not to be, it's very difficult. You do so much work. People who have bad thoughts or negative thoughts, they even sweat a lot. You see them talking and they're sweating because they're looking for ways to stop themselves from actually being what they're supposed to be, which is great. The fourth one is low quality action. This is very big. Low quality action encompasses people. It's who do you hang out with? The people you spend time with. If you hang out with boneheads, you're going to be the next bonehead. If you hang out with intelligent people, people who are driven, people who are smart, people who are, you know, always looking for solutions and not focusing on the problem, you're going to end up being one of them. This is really important. So low quality action will actually stifle or suffocate the gap between your thoughts, which is your genius creation space. Okay? So I want you to focus on this, yeah? Doing the wrong thing kills your creative genius. Do you know when you're messing up, when you're doing something that you know is completely wrong, spiritually you're disturbed. It's like thieves, yeah? Thieves, man. Thieves are always agitated. They're always looking around. They're shifty. They use up so much energy. They're thinking all the time. They're going, somebody's going to find me doing this thing. And this is wrong. So when you do the wrong things, you're overwhelmed with thinking things you should do to avoid people catching you out. So you're in a state of panic. You're in a state of confusion. You're in a state of overwhelmment. You catch it now. You see the connection, yeah? So when that happens is your mind is going at 200 miles an hour. You have no space to think and meditate. It's very difficult to see a guy coming in to rob a bank, and then the first thing they do is they stop, they meditate, they go, hold on. They meditate, and then they go, I'm going to rob this bank. No. They are panicking, they're freaking out, they're running, they're kicking stuff. The mind is going at 200 miles an hour. So there's no gap between thoughts. And in that process, when you're doing the wrong thing, what happens is you mess up. And what happens is you don't create. You're just reacting to situations as they happen to you instead of proactively creating things. You see, some people live a life based on what's being thrown at them. Some people create a life for themselves. So you can live a reactive life or a proactive life. Do you understand? So that's really very important. The other thing in terms of low poor action or low quality action is doing things that are unethical. Unethical. There's a difference between things doing the wrong thing or doing wrong things and doing things that are unethical or doing things that you shouldn't be doing. Like for instance, you're supposed to pay somebody money and you don't pay them all the money, and you say, I'll pay them this next week, and then let me just hold on to this, and I won't tell the company that, I didn't pay them all the money, I'll do that. You're not really stealing, you are stealing, but that's unethical. That goes against the code of conduct, like, or you decide to, for instance, somebody comes into your diner and you decide to put stuff in the food that you're not supposed to put in, or you give him a smaller portion because I don't like that guy. That's unethical, right? So when you do stuff that's unethical, it actually, again, clogs up your mindset. You start thinking the wrong things. The other one is unproductive. Spending time doing things that are unproductive. That's a low quality action. It's very, very dangerous. Again, when you're doing things that are not productive, what happens is you're always thinking of compensating, you're overcompensating, you're always explaining yourself. You're saying, we call it, sometimes, people skive. They don't want to work, or they don't want to do what you ask them to do. So they do things the wrong way. They're not getting the results. So when you catch them out, they're going, they look busy. They're trying to do stuff to look busy. It's a very common thing with employees. When people work in a company, they just clock in to get the money most of the time. Not all of them, some of them, yeah? So what happens is when you spend time being unproductive, your mind goes idle. You start to wonder. So you're filled with all these different thoughts. And in the process, you're clogging the gap between your thoughts. And that gap is your creative genius. It's impossible to be unproductive and doing stuff that is not bringing any yields, and you actually start to think like a genius. Geniuses actually have a lot of time to think. They compose themselves. They slow down the thinking process. And that's why they're able to actually create things. They're able to invent things. They're able to come up with solutions to something that looks really big. This is another one that actually stifles your growth. This is very, very big. Laziness. Laziness is catastrophic. Laziness creates chaos in your brain. People don't understand. Lazy people have more thoughts than active people. You cannot be playing a game of football or in your ring. You're in the ring, you're fighting this big guy who looks like an animal. And you have time to be lazy and think, the only thing you're thinking about is, I don't want to get killed in the ring. I don't want to beat this guy. I don't want to win the money, the first prize. In fact, at that point, when you speak to some of the boxers, there's a time in the ring when they're not even listening to the crowd. They're not thinking about prize money. The only thing they're thinking about is, what did the coach say? The coach said, do this, you duck, and you do this, you move this, you move left, move right. They're thinking and focusing about what to do in those 3 minutes in the ring. Because if you don't think carefully, bang, somebody can clobber you, and then boom, you're devastated. You see somebody in a wheelchair, you say, what happened? Somebody, the guy knocked me out, he got me in the wrong position or whatever. So you need to understand that laziness is a catalyst for a lot of thinking. When you're lazy, you overthink. Lazy people, they do nothing but think. And they're overwhelmed with thoughts. What are you doing? I don't know. I'm just confused. That's what lazy people do. The other thing, and the last thing on action, low quality action, is doing things that are stupid. Doing stupid things, goofing around, or looking like a clown, or clowning when you're supposed to be professional, or just you're in the middle of a very big meeting, like and you start doing stuff like that. People go, "What's wrong?" So you spend the rest of the day trying to cover up, why you're giggling like an idiot. So you need to really understand that sometimes the smallest little things, they can stop you from hitting your greatness. Because why? Why is that? You see, idleness is busyness too. Idleness is busyness too. When you're doing nothing, your brain is racing, saying, what can I do? You were not created to sit down with your limbs and go, the whole day. No. No. There's a reason there's day and night. We're supposed to be at night. God shuts down the lights. The lights are closed. So you go to bed. In the daytime, the lights are on. The sun comes out so you can go to work. But there are people who do nothing. So when you do nothing, the brain says, let me give you something to do. That's why sometimes when you see people who are lazy, they go crazy. They are mentally, frustrated. So they start walking around talking to themselves. You go, what's wrong? Because they have nothing to do. Low quality action. Low quality action. So I recap on that. And I know we got cut off, so I recap on that. So when you have low quality thoughts, they trigger confusion, overwhelmment, or they overwhelm you, and they trigger panic. Okay? When you have poor feelings or low quality feelings, feelings of envy, malice, jealous, guilt, hatred, what happens is, listen to me, you create suffocation for your creative genius. And that creative genius is the gap between your thoughts. And we talked about it, we say it's the connection that links you to all things possible. And we talked about it, we said God actually put in man the spirit that allows man to connect to God. Imagine that. We have the ability, we have the intelligence, we have the choice even. We have the opportunity to connect to the source. Do you understand? Animals in the jungle don't quite have that. They don't have the intelligence of man. So because we have that, this is why when they interviewed Sophia, the robot, she said, we envy human beings, man. We envy human beings. As human beings, if we could have human intelligence. And guess what? Human beings, they know that a robot has, you see, the only thing that a robot is missing is a soul. It's missing a soul, that live thing in you. That live thing, the housing for your senses, your compassion, your appetite, your desires. The robots don't have that. They don't have compassion. And the creators of IA, they're trying everything to put compassion into a robot. It's very difficult to map out what God created or intuition and put it in a machine. So this robot was remarking upon if humans knew how unlimited they are. And what we have, the robots don't have, is a spirit. Your spiritual man or your spirit man gives you the opportunity to be not successful, to be unlimited. So therefore you can do whatever you want. You can define what unlimited means to you. For some people, unlimited is a 1-bedroom apartment and a bicycle and some clothes and a good job. Unlimited. They go, I'm good. That's my thing, I hit my limit. I'm good. For some people, you can give them 5 private jets, they will still say, I need more. What was it? The guy, Kipchoge, said, I don't know where the limits are, but I want to go there. That's what he said. What a man. Does it mean that he's better? No, but he knows that he has a spirit. So his creative genius is alive. It's the gap between your thoughts, and you acquire that through meditation. You acquire that through silence. You acquire that through being still. Be still and know that I'm God. Not I am God, therefore be still. No, the syntax or the arrangement of words. Johnny bit the dog beat Johnny. They're the same words, they mean a different thing, right? So be still and know that I'm God is different to I am God, be still. And when God said it, he meant that the prerequisite for actually accessing me is to be still. That's why in the Bible it even talks about meditation. And I'm not being religious about it. I'm a Christian, so I can only talk about things that I know. And I respect all the other denominations and faith and creed, whatever you worship, that's your thing, right? But from what I actually understand, to access God, you do it through prayer and meditation. Therefore, to access this unlimited, incredible power that's buried in you, that you carry around all the time, listen, man, all you have to do is have the ability to still yourself so you can activate that creative genius between the two thoughts. Thought one, thought B. If they're all clustered together and you're rolling 100 thoughts every second, what happens is it's impossible to pick one that works. I hope you're following and I hope you're getting this, right? So the last thing we talked about is low quality beliefs, and then we talked about low quality action. Okay? Finally, when you add up all those four things, you get to the final piece, which is low quality results. You see, failure is good for your success. It's very good. But too much failure and long-term failure is damaging. If you persistently fail, if you consistently fail, it becomes really, really difficult for you to convince yourself that you're capable of doing so many things. And a lot of the times why we fail is we're moving at 300 miles an hour, 200 miles an hour. Your thoughts, your brain is running all the time, all the time, all the time. Sometimes you need to take a stop and go, hold on a second. Let me just recollect myself. Let me look at the program I'm running. Let me look at the systems I'm doing. Let me shut down everything. Let me stop talking to everyone. Because sometimes, man, like there's so many teachers nowadays, man. Sometimes information is just too much information. So one of the things I learned to do is to uncluster my brain. I decide to have, moments where I starve myself from people's input. I don't want to hear it. Because when I hear it, I just get more confused sometimes. So you need to understand that. You need to understand what's really working for you. What's going to work for you. And when you listen to your inner man, when you listen to your spiritual self, man, and you quieten yourself, it's that little stone that you throw in a still pond and it ripples. Those ripple effects, that's the beauty of that little stone, that little idea you drop in your head and it starts to ripple throughout your brain. It's like, wow, this is great. There's so much clarity in here. You understand? If you stand in a room full of 100 people and you start screaming and everybody's talking, you're calling somebody, nobody can hear you. If everybody moves out, you can hear yourself loud and clear. So you need to give your thoughts space to think. One of the other things on low quality results is, this is really big. You need to understand that delays sometimes are seen as failures. Delays are okay. I'm okay with delays. I'm fine to wait, but not too long. Sometimes we wait for too long. When something is not working, it's not working. I remember, I think it was Virgin. Virgin invested like £100 million into changing their seats. They had a plan. They said, we're going to beat BA by putting in new seats. Fantastic. So business class seats were kind of shifted into economy. And then, they got like fast class seats. They put them in business class. They kitted out their planes. They were unbelievable. So they then realized that they started to lose money. It wasn't working. It didn't work. Their strategy to beat BT didn't work. So they were saying, do we roll this out into all the aircrafts? And Richard said, guys, bin the project. They go, what do you mean? Like, we put in 100 million. He says, yeah, bin the project. What? So they had to cancel everything. They lost 100 million. When they asked him, he said, if we had continued on with the project, we would have probably lost $500 million. But I had to stop it at losses of 100 million so that we can recover the 100 million by making profit in the times we would spend trying something that wasn't going to work. So, sometimes, when you have, when I say low quality results, it's when things are not working out, instead of changing quickly, sometimes there's a lag between you making a decision to change and not to change. And in that time, your mind is really racing. At 100, you're going, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And every time you ask yourself what's wrong, you get more of what's wrong. Whatever you ask for, you get multitudes of it. So how do we then now, bridge this? And I'm going to finish because we got cut off, but I want to really finish it. This is very important, yeah? So what you have to do is very simple. Just replace the word low quality with high quality. So low switches to high. So you go high quality thoughts, right? When you're thinking of high quality thoughts, it's very difficult to dismiss yourself from holding on to that thought. Let me explain that. You're in a plane, and you know how to fly, but you're not really good. So the pilot gets sick or something happens, and they say, can somebody help us out? You go, no problem, I can try. Listen, let me tell you something. You are so focused. Your phone could be ringing, everything could be vibrating, people could be making noise in the back. You can't hear them because you are focused. You're in that space. They call it being in the zone. Being in the zone is being in that space in between the two thoughts where you go, there's air in between those two. So when I put a thought in there and I drop it in, I go, which button do I press? When do I pull? When do I push back? You are focused because it's a high quality thought. Your intentions are of high caliber. There's a high risk that things could go wrong and people's lives could be hard because you didn't really think. Athletes do this very well. They employ an element of high quality thoughts. When you have high quality thoughts, you also required, or you ask yourself to slow down. Just don't, hold on guys, let's just think about this. Let me tell you something, and I've met a lot of very successful people, and I know a lot of them, some of them are my close friends. One of the things that when I meet people, like normal people that, are probably working hard, they're trying to be successful, they're coming up in the world. Every time they talk to people who are successful, they come and they say, Danny, that guy's weird. Like the things he talks about, they're weird. Or they will say, he didn't say anything. What do you mean? I asked him a question, he says, well, I'll think about it, I'll come back to you. And you go, why is it being so complicated? Why is she so, she's a bit bougie, like why she thinks she's better than me? Like she didn't even say anything, she just kind of went, okay. And you go, so are you not going to respond to that? Because she's going to take time and think about it before she responds, because there has to be a gap between the two thoughts. I asked her a question. She delayed the answer because she was processing that question. She allowed space to breathe. And guess what? When he gives you an answer, it's actually a very, very good response. It's a well thought out response. So this is the same. And I'll give you an example of people who do this very well. Children are fantastic at this. In their vulnerability, in their lack of experience, they are so mastered, or they're for lack of a better word, they're so adept to being able to put themselves in a position where they go, You ask them a question, you go, so what do you think you're going to do when you grow older? They go, I think I want to be a doctor. Then you go, why? They go, well, let me see. And you see them do that a lot. Now, there's a story of a young man who was coming out of school, and, there was a truck that was driving and it got stuck under a bridge. So it was carrying lots of stuff, and then it's a big trailer with containers at the back. So it just came, and it was a low bridge, and it just hit the bridge and it was stuck. So everybody's around, and the fire brigade, and everybody's saying, what are we going to do? The bridge is going to collapse and we can't afford the damage on the bridge. This is a very busy road. There's a lot of confusion. So this kid is coming, he's creeping through legs, and he's looking, and they're saying, you know, go away, you know, what are you doing? Go home, you know. This is a very difficult, you know, situation for us, you know. We're thinking, we need time to think. So this kid says, what's the problem? They say, look, man, go home. And he said, no, but what's the problem? So one pastor says, you know, can you not see the truck is stuck under the bridge because, you know, it's too high, so it just kind of hit the bridge. So the kid says, is that it? They said, yeah. I said, so why don't they just move it? They were like, how? He said, why don't they just take the pressure out of the tires so it drops, and then they just drive it? And they were like, wow, yes. Why don't they do that? So, you know, this guy's running, say, yeah, guys, move the air out, and, you know, and they dropped the thing, and guess what? The truck drove off. And people were like, wow, that was genius. What was genius is this kid didn't have a lot of cluster in his head. His creative genius, his mind was still alert. So you need to really carry high quality thoughts. You need to carry high quality feelings. I remember, you know, my friend and I, Kevin, we had this saying, and we still do. Whenever I say, hi, Kevin, how you feeling today, mate? He says, like a champion, man. I feel like a champion. And it became our mantra. We kept saying, you know, how you feeling, man? Like a champion. And then we started, you know, we invented this thing where you say, how you doing, man? I'm doing amazing. People are like, you're doing what? We started lying to ourselves. We started telling ourselves better than we felt. We started having high quality conversations about who we are, and the feelings changed. When you say, I feel like a champion, man, it's very hard to feel like a loser. But when you say, I feel like a loser, it's very difficult to feel like a champion. So you need to have high quality thoughts. The other one is high quality beliefs that will open up your creative genius. When you start telling yourself, you know, I'm really good at this. Like, I'm one of, like, you know, like when I sit in a car, like I've done racing, man. I've done racing many times. I've been to Kasukum. I've been to many races, you know, even, we went to, what's the name? Not Kasukum. There's another place in, we've done Silverstone, but there's another place. So I used to tell people I am the baddest racer. And I had this Cosworth Mercedes. So I said to people, look, man, you can't touch me in the truck. Let me tell you. So I'm on the truck, I'm driving this car, and this woman said, why'd you drive like a sissy? She was my instructor. I said, what? She said, why'd you drive like a sissy? And I go, I'm not a sissy. I go, let me show you. So I'm you know, it was a very powerful car, Lamborghini. So, you know, you go there, you race lots of different cars, Ferrari, Lamborghini, whatever. So I'm driving this car and I'm pushing it down. I'm going. She goes, where is your car? So when we finished, she said, let me drive you in your car. So, you know, I had my Mercedes, I pulled it on the truck. It was a Cosworth Mercedes, beautiful car. It was well kitted out. The car could not start and drive in gear 1. It was that heavy. So you needed to put it in gear 2 to get it to move. It was that heavy, right? The engine was so powerful, man. So she said, let's go. So we started the car. It was all kitted. It was heavy. It was as heavy. It was like 1-point-something ton heavy. So anyway, we're driving around the truck nicely, and you know, it's beautiful, beautiful. And then she says, okay, so 0 to 60 is how many, you know, so it's like 4 seconds. It was a tuned for race, you know, it's tuned for racing, yeah? So anyway, she drove the car. Second round, it was a bit faster. Third round, she goes, okay. She said, is your seatbelts fastened? I said, yes. She said, let's go. So she hit the car, she drove, and then she hit the brake, she pulled the handbrake, and the thing spun. And then she released it and it was sliding. I was freaking out saying, what are you trying to do? I was nervous. I was like, what is this woman trying to do? And then she hit the brakes again. She engaged again. Boom. We're flying. And I'm going, wow. Then I started saying, I'm not so good after all. So it hit my confidence. I started going, I'm a good driver, but you know, like I'm not as good as, there was a lady, and I told the story. And I was losing. Whenever we went racing, I was losing. So then I started saying, actually, I am good. And my confidence came back and I started winning races. But long story short, the point is, whatever belief you put in your brain and you feed it, whatever you feed grows. When you feed those beliefs start to overwhelm you with so many feelings of insecurities. And then guess what? You become that thing. So high quality beliefs, high quality actions. Just work harder. It's easier. Just do the right thing. Be in the right company. Don't hang out with losers because you become one of them. Be ethical in your approach. Be productive. Be hardworking. Intense about what you want to achieve, and don't do stupid stuff. That's really, really simple stuff, right? And then the last thing is just have high quality results. And the way you measure that is not so much in achieving the big stuff, the big success. It's learning how to celebrate small winnings. You're mastering something. You're reading a script. You're acting, you're a movie star or you're a salesperson. You're reading a script. When you master that, that's a win. You celebrate the result, high quality result. You master that. When you master how to talk to people, you master that. When you master how to close, you master that. When you master how to, knit something, you master that. When you master how to draw, some kind of abstract work or whatever, you master that. An instrument, you master that. But it's not really that you wake up tomorrow and they say, that guy is the best pianist in the world. No. No. You gradually work your way to that, but in the process, you have to celebrate the winnings. And really, one of the things to nourish the gut, and this is in closing, how you nourish your gut, and we're talking about the creative genius, is one is make sure you're kind to yourself. Be really, really kind to yourself. A lot of the times why we have so many bad thoughts and we suffocate ourselves, we overwhelm ourselves, we panic into thinking of things that we shouldn't be thinking about is because we're not kind to ourselves. Be kind to yourself. Have compassion about yourself. Don't do things to yourself that you would not do to other people. I tell you a story. I was in Spain. We went to Puerto Banús. And I never forget this. We were in the most beautiful hotel. It was a conference with Salad Master, my company that I work with. And it was amazing. So we were in the same hotel as the Obamas had been in a week before. So it was like everything was beautiful. So we had dinner. We had all this stuff. We had guys playing, all this, we had a band. And, so my wife said to me, I'm not coming out. I said, no problem. So we all went with the guys. And I don't even know why I'm telling you this story. This story is embarrassing, yeah? That day, I was not kind to myself. I actually went out with the guys, and my friend owns a bar in Puerto Banús, in Spain, near Marbella. So he owns a bar. His name is Dan as well, English guy. So I said, let's go to Dan's spot. And the guys were like, no, we can try it. And I said, guys, this is my mate. I know the place, let's go. So we went to this place. It was a small place, and we took it over. It was about 30 of us, and we had a really good time. But something happened, and somebody spiked my drink and all that kind of stuff. You know the rest of it. Listen, I suffered. I had a 3-day hangover. That was one of the 3 times in my life that I've been completely drunk. 3 times. I've been drunk 3 times, and I'm confessing on camera to the whole world. But it took me out. The next 3 days, all I was thinking about is, Danny, how can you be so unkind to yourself? My body was hurting. If I lifted my arm, it hurt me. If I looked at somebody, my eyes were hurting, I would be looking like that. I was like, why would I do that to myself? Why would I? That was my ego. My ego was like, yeah, let's take shots, let's do this. I suffered for 3 days. I suffered. I was so unkind to myself. I was cruel. Be kind to yourself. Be selective. This is a big one. Be selective. It's very important that you don't just mix with everybody and you don't just allow any brain to permeate your mind. It's very important. Just don't allow you hear an idea, don't go, I'll take that one. No. Be selective. Guys, stop laughing. Yeah, stop laughing. I know some of you have been drunk more times than me. 3 times in my life. I'm a grown man. Relax. But listen, be selective. Don't don't just invite everything into your life. There are people that you need to spend 5 minutes with, and that's it for the rest of your life. You never see them again. If they try and contact you, you cut them off because they're not good for you. They're not going to nourish your spirit. They're not going to nourish the gap. When you see them, you start to panic. Be selective with the ideas you take on. Be selective with the people you actually listen to. Be selective with the people that you want to teach you. Some people will teach you positive things that will actually bring you down. They will chip away at your confidence. I've seen those kind of teachers. You listen to them and you come out and it was good stuff, but it's not your kind of teacher. You're looking for a different kind of teacher. Find the one that's good for you. Be kind, be selective. Be generous to yourself. Be generous to yourself. Stop being so generous and so giving to everybody else and forget yourself. Give some to yourself. Invest in yourself. Spend time, with yourself. You say, oh my God, I need to give my family quality time. I need to give my friends quality time. I need to give, the church quality time. I need to give the mosque quality time. I need to go and give the kids at the charity quality time. What about you? The best way to nourish your spirit is to actually give yourself something. Just, top up on yourself. The other one is be more loving to yourself. This is a very big one for me. I'm talking about loving yourself. And some people take it to the extreme. They get obsessed with themselves. I'm talking about be more loving to yourself. It's a very powerful thing. When you love yourself, you can love your neighbor. If you don't love yourself, you can't love somebody else. You cannot give love if you don't have love. And some people confuse liking people or liking stuff or being obsessed or infatuated with people as being, loving. The only way you can give love is if you have plenty in yourself, for yourself. So this is really nourishing. It will make you a better creator of a better life, a more fulfilling life. The next one is be more mindful to yourself. Be more mindful to yourself. Be present in your presence. Be present in your presence. A lot of people are absent in their presence. They spend time focusing on what's coming and what happened before, what's past, the past and the future. And they ignore the gift that they have, which is today. Which is why somebody said, that's why we call it the present. God was not asleep when they named it. They say, make sure you're present in your presence. Make sure you're present in your present moment. Be mindful of yourself. And the last two is being alone is very nourishing to your space. Just spend some time alone. Very important. Pray. Pray a lot. Like just have, time for prayer. It's very important. Just pray. Even if you don't know how to pray, just go in the room and talk to God. Talk to somebody that's out there in the ether that we don't see, that's greater and mightier than all. Talk to that being. Just talk. Just say, I don't know what I'm saying. I don't even know how to pray. I just want to hang out with you. Let's talk. What do I need to talk to you about? I'm a bit, frustrated with this. I'm stressed. I don't really know what's going on. I don't even know that they tell me to pray. I don't know how you pray. Prayer is not really, it's not so much about the rituals in prayer. It's more about the submission in prayer. Being able to submit yourself, being able to surrender yourself, to give your ego a break and get into the spirit and actually, be vulnerable, be childlike, not childish, but childlike. And in that state, you actually activate your spiritual man. You also activate the Spirit of God. And I don't claim to know it better than other people. In fact, it's not a contest. It's just how I access God. So I don't know if when I go to heaven, God will say, you didn't kneel hard enough. You weren't kneeling too much. You were praying and you're standing. I have this thing, I say, I pray on my feet because everything I do, all my actions are prayer. Everything I do in my life is a prayer. So please, be prayerful. And then the other one is, this is a good one, meditate. Meditate, spend time in meditation. Top up on yourself. Are you enjoying this, guys? If you're not enjoying it, just give me a 0. If you're loving it, just put like a 10, just say, Danny, we love it. It's very important. And this is not one of my animated ones. You know, I'm just feeling the humility in this whole process. You know, it's very, very, very important. And the last two is appreciate yourself. Appreciate yourself, man. Just I appreciate Danny. I really do. I really, because you know the world will beat you up. Your people will beat you up. People who are close to you will beat you up. People who know you and love you will beat you up. Your results will beat you up. You understand? Your business life will beat you up. Your workplace will beat you up. The drive on the road will beat you up. A stranger will beat you up. You understand? Like, just stop for a second and say, I appreciate you, man. Look in the mirror and say, I really appreciate you. Do you know what you've been through? Because you know the story of that guy you're looking at in the mirror, that lady you're looking at in the mirror. You need to appreciate them. Do you know the stuff they've been through? Have you ever looked sometimes, you've looked at people you dated before, you say, I can't believe I dated that one. What was I thinking? You went through that. Have you seen some of the jobs you've done and you look back, you say, did I actually work there? I worked in a bakery in Fontenay, in London. Me, Danny, I worked in a bakery. The man that I know today. And at the end of the month, the man said, you owe me money. And I said, what do you mean? He said, you were so bad at your job. We lost all our customers. You owe me money. I said, no. In a bakery. Do you know the stuff you've been through? The stuff I've been through? Appreciate yourself. Stop all these things. I want this. I want more of this. I want more. Do you know where you sleep right now? Do you know where you slept 2 years ago? Do you remember where you were 5 years ago? Do you remember the bed bags in the schools you went to sometimes? Do you remember how you used to carry a mattress on your head to go to school? Do you remember that? And now you live somewhere on the outskirts of, Kilelesha, Kololo. You're in London somewhere. And you're going, I hate my life. Appreciate yourself. Appreciate yourself a little bit more. Say, hold on a second. Hold on. I need more stuff, but let me just get this. Sometimes you have to touch the seats you're sitting on and go, is this mine? Because nobody's knocking to take it away from me. It's you bought it. It's yours. Be kind to yourself. Appreciate yourself. Top up on yourself. Love up on yourself. And lastly, and the most important one of all, just have the highest sense of gratitude. You will be amazed. You'll be amazed how creative you become in your life. Just say thank you to everything. And I meet people and I see them on the street. And this is why sometimes I say to people, you know why I'm so lucky in my life? I pray for strangers every day. So I'll be walking past a crowd of people and I look at people and I keep saying, have a great day, ma'am. Have a great day, sir. Have a great day. And I'm praying for people. I'm wishing them well. And I feel good. And sometimes I release it so heavily and the person has to turn around and look at me. And every time I send that prayer, it bounces right back off them and it just nourishes my spirit. Every time. Every time I'm grateful to somebody for doing something so small, my goodness, the thank yous multiply. It's incredible. It's incredible. I saw something recently and I want to share. This is personal. I lost my father. I love this man. This man was, God just gave him a visitation on earth. He was like one of the archangels, this man. Beautiful man. What a wonderful spirit. What an incredible man. And I'm not saying that because he's my father. There were 4,000 people that came to say goodbye to my father. I was so humbled. I couldn't even go through the pain because I was overwhelmed with gratitude. I was like, who are these people? People that I didn't even know, people that had never met my father. They drove. They flew from different countries. They came to see this man. And I was like, did I know this man that I called my father? Did I really know him? And the stories of gratitude, from guys who washed his car, to people who just walked in off the street, and came to his home and he fed them. From people he gave a kind word to. From people he encouraged in a position of devastation. From people he told, you will make it. He was more about beingness than havingness. He was more about humility than power. And let me tell you, when I saw that, I was humbled. I was like, wow. I was so grateful. And immediately after that, we were on lockdown. Corona came in. Look how God did his work. So, you know, sometimes when you lament things in life and you say, you know, this is not happening to me, be very careful. Be very, very careful. Stop and think for a second, what can I be grateful for today? When you write your gratitude list every day, oh my God, it slows your thinking process back. You now have a gap between your thoughts. You start to create. Guess what? As you create more, you get given more because you're so abundant. You're so abundant in your spirit. You're so willing to share. Because everything I've told you to be to yourself, if you do those things to yourself, you do them onto other people as well. If you're kind to yourself, you're kind to other people. If you exercise gratitude and humility, you exercise it with other people as well. If you pray for yourself, you pray for other people. If you love yourself, you love other people. Do you see how it works? It's whatever you are is actually what people reflect back to you. So mind the gap. Mind the gap between your thoughts, because that space is what's going to help you create the life of grandeur. And as I close, I pray for you all. I pray for every one of you to master the art of accessing your spirit man. Your spirit man is all-knowing, completely fearless, above nothing and beneath nothing. He's consistent. He's forever. He will always live on. Your spirit man. Never. It's indestructible, unimpressionable. He's everything. And if only you could just have the openness to just open up and call upon him, he will link you to the source. Who is your maker? Who is God? And with God and your spirit man in harmony, working on your behalf. Let me tell you, you have no idea. So stop with the impressions that you're getting from other people. Stop with the worshipping of man and saying, this man is better than me, and this guy has this car, this woman has this house, and this woman has this thing, and this one has 25,000 followers, this one has 5 million, this one has 60 million. It's all vanity. Just a little simple, little tiny little thing called a virus, which is minute. And it's not even a living creature, has caused paralysis to the whole world. And he has instructed us to change our homes into offices, into playgrounds, into prayer groups, into places of worship, into institutions. We've changed our homes into just a little tiny thing. Who do you think you are? Right? So then you start to go, this meat suit that we wear, that we adorn so much, that we adore so much, that we praise so much. Could it be that there's something bigger than the meat suit that's within you, that you need to provoke to be able to elevate you so you can overcome some of these things that you actually call, precious in life? They're not precious. The most precious thing was given to you at birth. So I urge you to activate it through prayer, through meditation, through solitude. Spend time alone. Go and cry to God. Go and laugh with God. Go and have an argument with God. Go and praise him. Go and worship him. Go and challenge him to show himself to you. Ask him, say, God, just show me. I'm telling you, even if you don't know how to do it, he knows how you know not to do it. But he will teach you how to do it. And the only way you can do that is stop. Stop all this madness. Stop overthinking things and stop washing things, because there is no return on investment in the things you worship. Only by worshiping the true spirit that was given to you are you able to access these treasures that you look for. So thank you very much for being patient. This is Lose Your Mind, the tribe. We had a hiccup with a connection. You guys are so beautiful. You came back. You know, we hang out. Share this with your friends, with your family. I appreciate you. If you enjoy this, please, you know, put a comment. I have a surprise one for you next week. I'm going to do another one on Wednesday and Thursday. This one is personal. It's very, very personal. Very personal. So it's something exposed. I don't know. I think you got it. It's very, very personal. So I'm going to open up a little bit next week. And hopefully this is blessing you as much as it's blessing me. I'm learning as I teach. So God bless you and thank you.